Hour number 3, moving at lightning speed, which, of course, makes sense. Joyfully biased, delightfully annoying. It's the morning show with Preston Scott on 100.7 FM, WFLA. In your ears for the 2,500th occasion. And we thank you very much for joining us this morning. Over there in Studio 1A is WD38, a.k.a. Will the Pirate Hunter. Will he is. William Dance. And I'm in Studio 1B. I am Preston Scott, your humble host. And we always thank you very much for making us part of your morning. Try to take advantage of the time and make you aware of as many candidates as possible that you will be voting on come Tuesday if you haven't voted already. We visited with Mike Williams once before on the program, and we join him yet again. Mike, good morning. Welcome to the morning show.
Good morning. How are you this morning, Preston?
I'm good, sir. Mike is a candidate for the District 7 nomination, running against a stout field. There are a lot of people running in the various races, Mike, and let's give everybody a snapshot who might have missed your first visit to the program. Just tell everybody a little bit about your background.
Well, I'm a longtime small business owner. All my adult life been involved in small business, in retail primarily. I sold those retail stores 4 years ago, and currently I'm a financial advisor over here in Madison. I was born on the farm here in Madison and still live there.
What possibly was in your mind when you made the decision to enter a political race?
Well, Preston, this has been a kind of a 20-year journey for me. I actually felt a urging to do this back in the early 90s. My children were 5 and 7 years old, and I just felt like I didn't want to sacrifice that time in their life to be involved in this, so I bypassed that. My children are grown now. That resurfaced, and it was just an urging that I could not let go of, almost like a calling, if you will.
How would you describe District 7? Because we've talked about it. It geographically is massive, but there's the diversity of the agriculture community that I would say makes up the bulk of it. But in stark contrast to that, you've got that Gulf Coast frontage that has a very different set of needs.
Yeah, that's very true. There is a lot of diversity within our district. You do have the Gulf interest, whether it be tourism or the fishing or the seafood industry. Inland, you've got agricultural interest. But when you break it down into a little broader categories, you've got a collection of small business people, regardless of whether they are geared towards tourism, seafood, or agricultural production. They're small business people, just the same as if they owned a retail store or a small manufacturing facility. And the regulations that impact small businesses will impact all of those. They may do so in a different way, but they still impact them, and they kill jobs, and they and really hurt small businesses.
What's job one then, as it relates to creating jobs? There are a lot of different tacks that someone can take when they enter office. What would yours be?
Certainly, we want to reduce and streamline regulations. That's job one. We have a lot of small businesses throughout this district who would be able to improve their businesses, improve the bottom line of their businesses, so they could expand and hire more people if it was not for regulations. Give you an example of that. I talked to a CPA a couple of weeks ago about, he was telling me about a client of his who had qualified for the enterprise zone tax breaks, but that's administered by the Department of Revenue. They failed to tell him all the regulations that went along with that award of getting the tax break. 3 years later, he had a tax bill and fines of over $50,000.
Ouch.
Okay, that would have put that small business out of business and would have put people who he had hired that the program was designed to help get on the job out of jobs. He was able to, the CPA representing him was able to reduce that because, in essence, this was an I got you situation where he was set up to fail from the get-go because of not being informed of the regulations, not having the I's dotted and the T's crossed and those kind of things, which is really foreign to what we should be trying to do. We should be government should be facilitators to getting businesses up and going and getting them to hire people, not people who put things in roadblocks in the way and put I got you situations in place to collect revenue.
Mike Williams is with me. He's a candidate for Florida House District 7. He will be on your Republican side of the ballot if you have not voted already. Mike, stand by just one moment. We're going to take a quick check of weather from the Weather Channel.
Keep the umbrella handy. The rain's not going anywhere. We've got scattered showers and thunderstorms today and tonight and really through the rest of the week. It's a warm day today, 91 the high. I'm meteorologist Terry Smith from the Weather Channel on WFLA.
Mike, I think you know from the campaigning and talking to so many people, whether they be, just your rank and file voter or people that identify themselves as business owners, not just necessarily employees, but employers, that the economy, jobs, that certainly is on the top of most people's list. And in Florida, what seems to follow immediately as the impediment to creating is what you just mentioned, regulations. So let me ask you this. Are there certain types of industry, certain types of jobs, certain types of work out there that the state just needs to get completely out of? Just let people create jobs.
I think there probably are. I wouldn't have any specific examples to give you of that this morning, but there certainly are some areas that we really don't have a need to regulate the way that we do. We certainly, sometimes it seems that that's being done as a revenue generator rather than for the public good. And that's the things that we have to evaluate. Is this regulation creating a public good, or is it just a revenue generating source for balancing the budget? If that's the case, then we need to eliminate that and make sure that our taxes are taxes and not billed as regulations.
Let's use that as the segue to talk about an issue that I know, at least on your website and the interviews that I've seen you grant, is very important, and that is education, because they're kind of connected, obviously, to the job market here in Florida. As it relates to education, and you look at the resignation of our recent Commissioner of Education, is it time for us to really take a good hard look at something Jeb Bush advocated many years ago, which is to do away with, or at least streamline significantly, the size and scope of the Department of Education in the state of Florida and letting the local school boards and schools take care of matters themselves?
I think we have to have an overall philosophy, and that's what our overall strategy for education in our state. I would much rather see us have a state board of education than I had the U.S. Education Department. That's where it should be done away with. But certainly we should be able to streamline it so that more of the control and decisions are made at the local level, because the things that impact schools in Madison and in Port St. Joe and Perry are not the same things that work in Miami and Tampa. So we have a different demographic in North Florida as it relates to economics, the social backgrounds of the people involved. So we have to be able to customize what we do in an education format to these people, and because we still have a lot of people who are first-time, not only college students, but some who are first-time in their family high school graduates.
What do you do with the FCAT?
Well, I think the FCAT is going to go its own way with some changes in the next couple of years to a national-based testing program that's already in the works. It has served our purposes well, and I think in some regards, because I think when we go to that national scale, we're going to find ourselves in a better position than we thought we were comparing to other states. But I think that we have to have some consistency in the scoring, the expectations, so that educators can know the target that they're shooting for. We can't give them a target and then move it before the finish line. And that's what we've done in a couple of cases in recent years by changing some of the scoring and the way they're being evaluated.
Mike, as a parent now with grown children, but it looks like a couple of grandkids there in the picture with you.
Yes, sir.
Are you satisfied, though, with the notion that we're moving towards end-of-course exams that are, man, you fail that, you don't get credit for the course? I remember back in the day when we were in school, it was the sum of a lot of different parts. It was the sum of homework and tests and quizzes. And, yeah, you had a semester final. But if you did well on all the rest of that stuff, you didn't do so well on the final, your grade might not be an A or a B, but you passed your course because you proved over the course of the school year that you did your work and you knew your material. Are you comfortable with these, the finality of the testing environment we're moving to?
Well, I think it does need to be modified from that only the end of course. That's like there were a couple of courses that I had in college that were just pass or fail finals. There were no tests in the course, and that's not a good way to evaluate learning. Continuous progress monitoring is the other aspect of the new system that's coming into place over the next couple of years, and I think that is a very valuable source of information because it tells you what students are performing, which ones are learning, which ones are not on a continuous method or continuous basis, so that you can customize the approach with those students to help them get over the hump. It also lets you know what teachers are having the more effective methods and methodologies in their classrooms, so those can be spread to other classrooms as well.
Mike Williams is my guest. Mike, hang on. We're going to take a break. The website, Mike4Florida.com, Mike4Florida.com, where you can learn more about Mike Williams running for Florida House District 7, the Republican nomination. It's 21 minutes after the hour. Back more with Mike Williams next on The Morning Show.
My name is Emily.
A few more minutes on The Morning Show with Mike Williams, candidate for House District 7, Republican ticket. And one of the names you will find on your ballot if you are eligible to vote in District 7, which is massive. It is, it's huge. And Mike joins us for a few more minutes here on the program. Mike, let me give you a hypothetical for a second, because one of the things you talk about on your website is the stewardship of natural resources. And let me ask you a question I asked a Democratic counterpart of yours, A.J. Smith. If you've got the situation where you can create a ton of jobs in the state of Florida, but in order to do that, you have to be willing to open up state waters for some exploration and perhaps drilling, while not allowing necessarily wills and derricks and all that stuff on the horizon. Are you open to the idea of exploring Florida's waters and creating some jobs here?
If you're talking about drilling off our Gulf Coast?
Yes, sir.
I think we have to utilize the resources that we have available, and those are resources that we must consider using, absolutely. Not on the horizon, not something that a tourist is going to be able to see from the shoreline, but, beyond that point, we must be able to get those resources for our energy needs within the state, because we are an energy deficit state, and we also are very job deprived in North Florida, and we need to have that opportunity for employment as well as the energy resources that it can mean for our state.
One of the other issues you have on your website is the unfunded mandates. It's something that we hear ad nauseum from especially county officials, because the county usually is the ruling entity that is stuck with having to put into play various, hand-downs from the state. Explain how you achieve that balancing there, where the state gets to do what it needs to do, but yet the cost doesn't get handed down to the local governments. Who bears the cost then?
Well, I think the state has to bear the cost. If we're the one creating the mandate, then we should attach the funding to go along with that. The counties, particularly in this district, are very limited in their funding resources. When you take, I think Wakulla County, like 20% of the property in Wakulla County actually pays taxes. In Madison County, less than 50%, something like 42, 43% of the property is actually generates property taxes. Between homestead exemptions and state and federal-owned lands within these counties, it's really crippling small governments and small school systems because of the unfunded mandates, things that the state used to pay for that are being transitioned to county responsibility without the additional resources to do so.
How about just the general nature? And I haven't brought this up in a very long time, but Mike, several years ago, the story of a couple that wrote me at the radio station got brought up on the program, and it was kind of an interesting discussion. And the gist of it was this: a retired couple out there, and they're saying, we might not be able to keep our home because it's improved in value and risen in value, and even with the downturn of the economy, they're still sitting there with a tax bill that they don't feel like they can afford. Are you okay with just the whole property tax system in general?
Well, I think the fairest tax is the sales tax, because that way, if you make a purchase, you're paying the tax,
and everybody pays it.
We do have some inequities across these border counties in North Florida where people then check off and go out of state. So we have to be cognizant of what the states around us are doing in that regard as well. So we can't get too far out of balance, or we're going to lose revenue to the state and to these counties completely by people going out of the state. So there has to be a balance. I don't think we'll ever get away from property taxes completely in Florida, but I think we can do some things that would be more equitable if we transition to more sales tax type things and away from so much of a property tax based state.
Mike, good job today. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you for having me, Preston. Good to talk to you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
I ask for the voters to prayerfully consider me, and I'd love to have their vote and support next Tuesday.
Thank you very much. Mike Williams is our guest. Mike, thank you. The website, Mike4Florida.com, Mike4Florida.com. We'll be back. Talk some more. It's the morning show with Preston Scott on 100.7 FM, WFLA.